Now, this movie right here, this gave me flashbacks of the excellent times we saw debuts from my man's The Rock, Will Smith, etc., Denzel, all the action-packed movies of brothers saving the day and making the movie they own. This movie should have been called Brother Saves the White Girl's Day and properly trounces all the semi-racist looking people out there and goes on his merrily way as we think of. Welcome back. Welcome back, y'all, to the DeAndre Way. I'm your host, of course, DeAndre. Thank you so much for joining. If you like some NFL content, then I just posted a ton on the Shorts page and it's popping. Check out the TikTok as well. It's DeAndre Mac, not the DeAndre Way, but close enough. Anywho, we gonna jump right into it, y'all. Today we are reviewing and reacting to the movie Rebel Ridge. It just came out on Netflix not too long ago. I saw a brother as the front title page. You know, I had to turn it on and watch it because we don't get that too many times. And funny enough, which look, I did a Deliverance review. The whole audio did not work. I don't know what happened, so I'm gonna have to redo that one. But it's funny that the Deliverance and the Rebel Ridge are the two top movies on Netflix. They the ones that's moving bodies around the club line. It's the ones that's really making tidal waves and the tsunamis in the Netflix world, especially this Rebel Ridge one. I ain't know what Rebel Ridge was. I ain't know who Rebel was. I look, I know the song Rebel Rebel by Bowie. What's it called? David Bowie. And yeah, that's about it. So I didn't know what to think of going into this movie. And also, one more thing, side note, apologies if the audio might be a little off. I was traveling this weekend, tried to get to work on the road. It wasn't working. So maybe we just should keep the podcast studio in one setting for now. But we going to have to make this thing work on the road because I got some special events and live things that I want to do it at. However, we'll get into the movie. Yes. I started watching this movie and I was like, okay, I like the cinematics. I like the calm presence of it and the undertones, and it felt like a real slow roller coaster for a minute, but it kept me on my seat. I kept anticipating the drop. It's like when you go on a roller coaster, you don't know when the drop's coming, the ones that bring you up, and it might drop you a little bit and then pick you back up, and it might drop you a little bit more and then pick you back up. That's what I felt watching this movie. This movie was pretty lit. I'm not gonna lie. This movie had a lot of things like good actual combat that made sense. It didn't have action scenes that didn't need to be there. The dude was a Marine. He got the best hand-to-hand combat money could or could not buy. He got the whole nine. He's basically Black Adam, but without any of the powers. And I was anticipating a lot more fighting scenes just knowing when you found out his background and whatnot, but they kept it at a minimum. And I think honestly that's a good thing because this movie actually felt realistic. This movie actually felt like it could actually happen because the crimes are things that actually have happened. You know, they're putting people in jail way longer than they're supposed to, robbing regular people out their monies and then acting like they did the crime, basically gaslighting them into a crime and getting them in the system and using these methods to where they're going to get away with it, especially with a small town. Corrupt police. What's new? And I like that we kind of got to see this point of this side of it in a whole different capacity to where you actually have someone able to fight back against these things. And especially in small towns, they're going to do what they want. So they get away with a lot more Bush League tactics. I don't really try to go in these small towns, and I am driving through the countryside. But this brother didn't even have a car. He had a bike. And so he was really Laura Croft, Tomb Raider, and up in here. And he's the hero essentially. I mean, we hear why the brother gets sent to prison and whatnot. I wish we got a little more backstory about like how they ended up in this town. That's the only kind of question I had. We got the backstory about how he had his powers, I guess his combat skills and whatnot. And Yeah, honestly, I wasn't questioning too much for once. I mean, a lot of time these plots lack the continuity in what they need to really make sense. And sometimes they were using slow language that I wasn't super familiar with, like Marine language, Army language, the cop codes, all that stuff. I'm not into. I don't know all those codes, and I don't want to act like I do in any means necessary. And the whole like reasonings behind the officers and the police doing what they're doing. But for the most part, it made sense, and it was real thrilling. This movie starred our brother Aaron Pierre. He played Terry Richmond, the star of the show, and he took it away. Now I was waiting for the moment for him to pop off, and he only had a couple pop off moments, but I like how he kept us in suspense that whole time. This brother really did his thing. Anna Sophia Robb as Summer, Don Johnson as Chief, as the main chief, David Denman as Evan Marston, James Cromwell as the judge, and everybody else really was just subplot characters. And so, Rebel Ridge, before we get into it, like specifics, it's an American crime action thriller produced, written, and directed by Jeremy Saulnier. Saulnier has directed other films such as Murder Party, which I've never heard of, Blue Rain, which I've never heard of, Hold in the Dark. No, I ain't never heard of none of this dude's movies. So to be honest, this is his first real big, like, I guess, feature that he did all three of them, except for the Murder Party, where he did all director, writer, produce as well. And yeah, I mean, oh wait, he was a cinematographer for Hamilton. No, not that Hamilton. Sorry, y'all, not that Hamilton. But yes, this dude definitely, pretty much his kind of like big Netflix red carpet blowout, and he killed it. And so the plot: Terry Richmond, a former Marine, cycles into town of Shelby Springs to post bail for his cousin Mike Simmons and buy a truck so they can make an honest living. He is rammed and detained by two officers, Evan Marston and Steve Land, who seize his $36,000 via civil forfeiture, despite the money being legitimate. The Clark, the so yes, we get starting out with this movie. This brother's riding his bike down the road, and the cops pull up, hit him from the back, act like it was his fault. We were following you for miles. As a brother, this kind of triggered me a little bit because I personally have gotten pulled over for nothing before. In high school, I got pulled over because I was looking suspicious, making a right turn because it was 11:30 at night, and I was leaving work going home. I did not know the rules back then, of course. They asked me where am I going, what I was doing, how I was looking suspicious, and trying to scare me into something, which I didn't have nothing on me back then. And yeah, it's terrifying. And they could have easily took advantage of a brother and kind of planted something on me, made it seem like I did something. And this is a good example of a brother standing 10 toes down and knowing his rights and what to and not how to, what to say and what not to say and how to act. He was calm the whole time. He was very cooperative. And these cops still gave him a hard time. These cops are most likely racist. Now, racism was not a plot in this or subplot in this movie, but it kind of obvious. Like this is the only brother outside the sister who's working at the police station as well. So I'm surprised there wasn't any undertones regarding that, but it's just kind of like unspoken. It seems like I'm just surprised they didn't call this man boy any time at all in the film. To be honest with you, but yeah, it was triggering to say the least. But yes, they take all this dude's money. They try and act like he did something. He goes to the court. Then they don't help. And so anytime a brother tries to do right, he's just met more by wrongdoings from other people and higher ups. That's what happens in this world, y'all. Especially as a brother, people don't know. It's hard out here. Nobody really cares. Nobody gives sympathy on. Nobody gives sympathy. Nobody gives handouts. Nobody very few people even really want to go out of their way. And it's interesting that the white girl, what's her name? Summer wanted to go out her way and help as well. Now shout out her. But even at the beginning, it seemed like she wasn't down, but she came across essentially. And the cop even tells him come back in the morning. And he comes back and still's like, oh well, it's 9:03, and I said 9 o'clock. I'm like, this is triggering, y'all. It's triggering. But our hero, Mister Terry, apparently I don't know what's going on, because he sleeps outside. He's catching his own fish, starting his own fires. So I don't know how he's homeless per se. I know he's smelling like I'm actually stinking up in that shirt because it looked like he ain't showered this whole movie, except maybe once. So, I mean, it was Friday, I believe, when he got pulled over, and Monday when he went to the court, and he was wearing the same clothes. So, I like how they added like the little sweat to make it actually realistic. 'Cause sometimes they just be riding these bikes in these movies, and they're not a drop of sweat. And I was like, okay, that doesn't seem realistic. They really paid attention to the small details in this film. I really noticed that, from the sounds to the ruffling of everything when he's riding, to the sweat, obviously, because it looked very hot, to just the little details in the background. Like I remember in the kitchen when we see later on, we get the orders. Like we see the food orders on the side. I just noticed these little things. I'm like, wow, they really paid attention to the small details in these things, and you really had it made you pay attention too. So that was really dope. I think they did a great job on that. But yeah, they wouldn't budge at the cop's office, and when they drive off, he rides off to see his cousin and tell him a message, and he's like, "This dude is Lance Armstrong for a second there." He starts turning on the gears, and it looks like he's riding the Tour de France up in there because he rides past the bus. I thought he was going to jump out off the bike onto the bus and then hijack the car. It looked like he was about to do that for a second, but he did not, sadly. They kept it realistic. That wouldn't have been realistic, but I appreciate them keeping it real for us. But yes, the courthouse clerk, Elliot, refuses to help Terry and other employees. Summer McBride promises to prepare the forms in case Terry can get the required $10,000 before Mike's Thursday transfer to the state prison, where he would be in danger for informing on a gangster. So his cousin's in trouble, you know? I mean, there's not much to say about that. Terry then goes to the police station and tries to report the cash is stolen with Officer Jessica Sims. So Jessica, our sister, she is the anti-hero in the movie. She's kind of playing good cop, bad cop. And I want to know more about her background. That's one of the few things I did want to know. All the other cops, you could kind of see where they coming from and what time they on. Jessica, we she's a big mystery. For one, the only sister working at this police station. And two, her undercover name Seprico. We'll get into that later. But yeah, I knew looking at her when they had that little exchange, it was non-verbal. But if you a brother or sister, you know what that look is, and it's like, you got me, I got you. All right, all right. But we'll get there. Um, but yes, he doesn't get to see his cousin, and then he pulls up to the chief station, and he's like, all right, y'all want to play with me? Because I need this money, and the girl said I need $10,000. I ain't got no way to get to $10,000 because I already borrowed it from a Chinese man, and I ain't got no thing I own. This bike ain't worth $10,000. And so he's like, "What's up? What's popping? Let me show you a little bit of these tricks I got." The whole time I kept thinking he was gonna have some superpowers, but his superpowers was that hustle and that grit and that finesse and those hands. These hands can be superpowers, coach. But yes, he tries to be kind and report it stolen initially, but they are getting it. They act full with him, and then he pulls back up, like I said, and it's time to get it on and cracking. And he tells him, like, look, this is what I need. I need my money back now. But the officers refuse his offer, even though they said it was reasonable. And as a close quarters combat expert, he subdues Lan and Bum. He got his Neo on and started click, click, clacking. And they didn't even know what hit him, pulled the gun out. He's the one that really needs to be teaching the gun safety things. You know that dude online where he's like, that fat dude, he's like, this is how you take a gun away from somebody, and then don't work. He got the trick. Push the gun up, grab the wrist, turn around. Like, this dude was on top of it. I took some notes on here just in case. And yeah, he subdued them all and forced Sims and the other officers to hand over the bail money and help him escape. And Terry manages to post bail with Summers' help. But so he takes care of business. Boom, boom, boom. But he does it all without even hurting anyone. He handcuffs them. That's about it. And yeah, he gets the money, takes off. And when he gets the money, the girl, the police lady escorts him out and makes it seem like it's true, which I thought was genius and brilliant. The small details and the plots of this and the way that they did things were very, I keep saying it's realistic. I can see something like that going down. Now, maybe a little bit of fabricated with the other people around the police station not shooting or doing anything, them just going along with their business. But they played it off really well. And they know after they find out his background, the police, the sheriffs, and whatnot know not to mess with this man. They know it. I wouldn't mess with somebody if I knew it was a black belt. You gonna listen to what they say, especially if they're getting close to you. Now, from a distance, you might have some power, but nah, close range, it ain't it. But yes, he gets the money and he gets up out of there. But then he, so this was the interesting thing. So when he leaves, he gives the coordinates on like where he's at, and I think that's a save face for the sister girl, because at the end of the day, they need to make it look real, and she's not trying to get her fired. He knows he might need her essentially in the back of his head, which is kind of like foreshadowing, but we don't really see that. And I like that extra elements of it because the whole time this whole chick looks like maybe an ally, maybe not. She looks harmless, but at the same time, I just had a weird feeling about her, and I like those characters where we can kind of see them a little bit, and then we don't know which way they're gonna turn. And I still, honestly, I still don't know which way she turned, like near the end. But we gonna get there because uh, she turned on her brother for a second. But yes, soon Terry gets detained by the cops when he gets out when he gets off, and Terry is taken by Marston and Byrne to a hospital because he got tased, and he gets tased, but then like takes it and pulls the taser out. It was crazy, y'all. This was insane. I've never been tased. I don't know how it feels, but you let me know. Byrne officer says that Mike, Terry's cousin, was stabbed after processing and offers Terry the remaining $26,000, the truck he was going to buy, and not to pursue charges if he leaves town. Because Terry warned him, like, look, my cousin gonna get lit up if you don't let me up in here. And that was heartbreaking. I thought I really wanted to see Mike alive. They could be a great tag team duo. I don't think Mike has like the bag that Terry got, but it was crazy how he had to just be a victim of this whole entire circumstance, and it sucked to be honest like that. But yes, he got that offer. He accepted the offer tentatively because they had a helicopter. They was watching him. He really didn't have a choice. They was like, "This is the offer. If you don't take it, you're going to jail." So it's pretty much not an offer. I don't like that. They hardballed this man, but he ain't the one to hardball. While getting a ride out of town that evening for summer, Terry declines to help her investigate the case of being held up in jail for over 90 days. They find out, yeah, people are getting held over 90 days for misdemeanors, petty thefts, little tiny things. I'd be damned if I get held for over 90 days over stealing a candy bar from a store. That's crazy, y'all. That's crazy. And Terry's leaving town, but then Land, the white girl, flags him down, throws a gun into his car, and then or not Land, sorry, the other officer, because he went to go check on her because the white girl, Summer, she got drugged in her own house by the police. We didn't get to see the exact person who did it, but she gets drugged in her own house, and she can't have drugs on her because, like I said, she has child custody, and she has to take a urine test, which will take away her custody of her own child. So she gets, you know, she gets lit up by the police too, based off whatever reason we don't know exactly. Maybe they knew she was talking to him, trying to help him out, and they didn't like that, so they was gonna get that lick back. That's she was mid fire and warfare. I can't remember the exact term, but that was cold. They really doing some bush league tactics in this whole movie. So Terry left town, but Land, he after he's leaving the girl's house, and they're like, "You should have been out of here, bruh. We gave you a warning. Now you messing up." And He gets shot in the car, but he essentially escapes and busts this dude's arm up. He regroups with Summer at the Chinese restaurant, and he gets patched up by the Korean dude who was in the war but on the other side, which was kind of funny because she's like, "Thank you for your service," and he's like, he was fighting for the other side." She's like, "Oh, well, thank you anyways." But yeah, that was funny. We get a little bit of humor in here, just a little bit. So Terry and Summer soon they're like, okay, we got to figure out what's going on because this thing is bigger than us. Now they're kind of turning to the facts of, okay, it's not about us, it's about the whole entire breaking the system down. If nobody's gonna do it, we're gonna do it because it's just gonna keep happening. And what's the point of living our lives if we know this thing is going on? That's kind of what the reasoning I got is. They didn't really couldn't have anything. I mean, she wanted to get her daughter back and do right, but more so she couldn't get her daughter back at that point, according to the judges and the rules. But they could do something about just the crooked cops. And so that night, Summer and Terry interrogate Elliot and the judge. They pull up on both of them and they reveal a cover up to avoid transparency measures to be imposed after a legal settlement nearly bankrupted the town. People are held for 90 days on misdemeanor, so they are unable to get public defenders to seek the production of their police dash cam arrest footage before the data retention period expires. Now I know that's a handful. I was confused when I was watching it too. I was like, so what? Why are they held over 90 days? I think they could have made it a little more clear. I will say that. I'll repeat that one more time. The judge revealed a cover up to avoid transparency measures imposed after a legal settlement nearly bankrupted the town. So the town's pretty broke, and they trying to pretty much find means and ways to keep the town from going bankrupt. Now, sure, that can seem like a glorious thing to do by the police, but the way they're going about it is destroying other people's lives, which ain't the way to go. People are held for 90 days on misdemeanor, so they're unable to get public defenders to seek production of their police dash cam arrest footage before the data retention period expires. Can't do that stuff. And yeah, they are expiring the dash cam footage after 90 days, and they won't be able to use it in the court case. That's why they're held. So that's the reason why, in layman's terms. Terry and Summer break into the courthouse basement and retrieve the SD card. So they're getting a mystery, the Scooby Doo mystery on. It's an episode of that. They go down. A fire gets launched in there. They just don't care. These people don't care. They burning up everything as long as them two don't come out alive. I don't know how they got tipped off by this, but they did. I'm sure they got cameras everywhere and they got people all over the place. Seems like the police force has a lot of time and money on their hands, but not everybody else. So that sounds pretty much like the government and police forces today. It's sad. I know they got all these resources and money, but we can't have any of it as civilians and the public. But yes, they get the SD cards, and it was cool because she stopped the fire with the coconut water, which is funny. And they restart the fire to make it seem like that, but to seem like they really lit him on fire. But Summer got captured because she wanted to do my least favorite plan ever, which is in Scooby Doo. Also, is that's let's split up, like Fred and Velma always says. Fred says it. No, splitting up is never the good plan, never the idea to do. I think it's always terrible idea. I don't know why they did that, and I knew that was gonna happen. I just felt it. Never split up, y'all. Never split up. Terry and Lan arranged to swap Summer for Car. And speaking of the splitting up, I don't even know why she split up in the first place. She went and grabbed something in the fridge. I cannot remember what that was, but I don't think it was anything worthwhile. Terry and Lan then arranged to swap Summer for the cards at the Rebel Ridge. That's hence the name of the movie. Finally, the following morning, while Lan and a police contingent wait at the exchange site, Terry breaks into the station using the truck, subdues Burn, but so he subdued Burn by yeah, and they all left. They left one police car. He crashed up in the car, got him down, tied him up. He's like, "All right, bruh, this is what time it is." But Burn is detained by Sims as the cops return. Lan, which is the cop, destroys the cards, and so so they do all this stuff and whatnot. Burns tied up at the bridge. They think that's our brother, um, Terry, and he fooled them. But then Terry pulls up to the station again, and he's like, "What's popping?" And he well, he what he does is he gets the truck and pulls out the back wall, takes care of the takes care of the chief real easy, like no nothing to it but to do a little bit of dirt off his shoulder. And he gets detained by our lady Jessica. She's the one who kind of flips on him, which is crazy. I'm like, oh, here we go. The sister's here to crumple the hopes and dreams of a brother. I've seen this story before. If you're watching Big Brother, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, she flips on him, and then it's a big standoff in the parking lot of the police station. And yeah, the guy destroys. He steps and destroys the recording cam, this SD cards, which I thought they were fake cards. I thought they were like, oh, they were fake ones, and they were gonna get away, but they were real ones. And he says Summer's at the risk of overdosing because they drugged her again in the car. These dudes are crazy crooks. Don't care at all. But Marston, this other cop, protests because he's like, look, he gave himself up. You don't need to shoot him. We not about that. We not about to here be just killing people just to kill people. The one good cop. So they just said earlier, the guy who got tied up, I can't remember his name, Elliot, who got tied up. He's like, we're all not the same. We're all not the same. Foreshadowing to what this happened. So I like that they kind of use the foreshadowing in good terms and not the ways that we expected. But yes, they have a standoff. Marston's like, nah, don't shoot him. But then they turn on Marston, the other cop, and they shoot him in the knee or leg, and he starts bleeding out. And then all hell breaks loose, and it's just on and cracking. Uh, Terry gets his bag, gets Marston, brings him on the cop car, starts throwing the flash grenades, the sparks. He starts throwing the flash bombs, everything that he has. He's just throwing a whole bunch. The stun grenades, everything. And Marston's helping him out because he's like, look, screw these dudes, man. They did this to me. I'm on your side. And it's on and cracking. This scene is lit because he's going around each of the cops, taking care of them, subduing them, knocking them out. Mike Tyson, One Punch Man, everything. It was cracking. And we got to kind of see some of his arsenal, but I still feel like he was holding back on them because if he wanted to, he could have killed them, but he was making sure he was just hitting them enough to stun them or knock them out cold, not kill them. I don't think he killed one person. I mean, one person, he stepped on his arm and broke it, pretty much looked like in half. And Byrne tells the cops to kill Terry. The sheriff tells the cops to kill Terry and pin Marston's death on him. But Terry defeats most of the officers who fight him, including Land. No problem. This man is like Sparta. He got his 300 people, which is he's the 300, and he's just destroying everybody else. It was wild up in there. We just needed some more slow mo scenes to really see the effectiveness on his division of what he was doing. Marston soon tells Terry to activate the police cruiser siren, saving the previous 3 minutes of dash cam footage. So he turns his cam on in the car. They get in the police car, Terry, Marston, and he gets old girl Summer in the car. Turns it on, starts driving towards the sheriff, but the sheriff starts shooting at the car. Boom. Once them sirens come on, them cams come on, he's exposed. And he walks Terry throughout administering Narcan on Summer. So he gets the Narcan on her, which is putting the stuff in her nose, and she wakes up. And she even helps out a little bit, doing her little Jane and Spider Man assist, where she just comes in and helps like with the little kick and whatnot. The three flee on the cruiser with the police in pursuit. When ordered to do a pit maneuver, Sims takes out. So Sims, Jessica, our girl, so this part was a little confusing watching it, but I kind of got the gist afterwards. They three flee with the police car in pursuit when ordered to do a pit maneuver. So a pit maneuver is a law enforcement pursuit traffic in which pursuing vehicle collides with another vehicle to turn sideways abruptly, causing the driver to lose control and stop. I don't know why she got ordered to do it, but I guess we got ordered to do it because they got the footage somehow real quick, the outside police and whatnot. So they're like, okay, we got to stop this. This dude's not on the bad side of things. She takes out Burns' vehicle instead and detains him. The remaining cops escort them to the hospital and report that the state police are coming, so it's on and popping. Marston and Summer are admitted, and after which, admitted to the hospital. After which, Terry secures the incriminating dash cam footage and sits in the hallway. He was smart enough to go back into the car, grab the footage in the trunk, and that was the end. So this movie was popping. That's a brief summary. The effects was lit. The details was lit. I liked the brother's demeanor through the whole thing. He was just keeping calm, cool, and collected, and showing that look, I can turn it on when I need to turn it on, but keeping it calm and classy all at the same time. Y'all, this movie get me excited all over again. Now this movie's a little long. It seemed a little long at certain times, but it was good. I watched it actually on the plane. I think it was like an hour 40, hour 45. Could be wrong. Close to that. But yes, I'm gonna give this movie, honestly, it was an 8.7, 8.8. I liked it a lot. A little more transparency in English on some of the terms. Like I said, I was just confused some of the times when they were using the Encyclopedia Britannica language when it came to the reasoning behind things of the court cases and the police and all these things. But you get the gist of it, you know what I mean? I just wanted to see more background of the Sims chick, Seprico. And but other than that, I think it was great. I think this movie was definitely a surprise to me. I didn't really know what to expect, and it gave me everything that I wasn't expecting, but it was great. The lead brother, did an excellent job. Definitely recommend it. Go watch it. Tell me what you think in the comments. If you think it was lit, give me the fire emojis. And yeah, y'all, I'm definitely hoping there's a Rebel Ridge part two because I want to see the aftermath and I want to see this brother really unleash his full arsenal on these folks. Well, y'all, thank you so much for joining me for this review. We up out here. Appreciate you. Peace, blessings, deuces, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Just leave it for a brother to be in charge, to take care of things and make it right. Because that's what we on the mission to do every single day up in here.